Hello listeners, and welcome back to ND 5.18. And as always, I am your host, Ender. It has been some time since our last post, but I would like to thank all of you who have stuck around during this hiatus. I'm going to be trying to release some old content, but I do have some new things already in the works, so please bear with me. Now, without further ado, the Toolbox player. Playstyle spotlighting? I've got something for that. Now listeners, what is a toolbox deck? Now, good question, kind of says in the name, but I'll explain. So it is a crossover of a lot of different play styles. The overall goal of the deck is just being an answer. Okay? You want the right tool for every conceivable job. Now you may ask, how do I do this? And the key, multifaceted cards. Now, before I show you examples of these multifaceted cards, you have to ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, do you want focused or broad fixers? Now, you may say one silver bullet, to take down the werewolf. And yeah, that sounds great, right? But you realize that silver bullet is just a regular bullet to everything else. And that's the prime example of focused or broad. Now, are your tools up to date? Because they will continuously print brand new versions of old cards that are just better. Power creep is strong in every facet of this game. If you've been paying attention in the last year, hell, in the last 2 months, is amazing. Really is. And if you have not taken a look at Foundations, the set that just released, please do. Over 700 cards, some good reprints, some brand new cards. Not sponsored, by the way. Just wanted to put that out there. Question number 3, are you willing to put in the time to learn each situational fix? To be a toolbox player, you do need commitment to the deck, as in you will have to master it because you will need to know your positive and your negative matchups. You need to be patient. And when the deck does not function, you need to rebuild, fine tune. This deck, it can be really fun, but it is a project of love, not of, convenience. Now, let's go to our first tools in our toolbox, the hammer and the nail. The simplest tool to use, any place I can have them. All right? They're a clean response that if you're going to go down this path of being a toolbox player, you will need multiple variations of. Now, first example, Cleansing Nova, a 5-mana white sorcery that says choose one, destroy all creatures, or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Clean, straight to the point. In blue, we have River's Rebuke, a 6-mana sorcery that says return all non-land permanents target player controls to their owner's hand. Okay, a little more precise, Next, we have Rain of Thorns, a 6-mana green sorcery that states choose one or more. Destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, destroy target land. Now, take note of that because lands are considered taboo here in Commander, but they are a necessary removal target. Now we have Mob Rule, a 6-mana red sorcery that states choose one. Gain control of all creatures with power 4 or greater until end of turn. Untap those creatures and then gain haste until end of turn. Or gain control of all creatures with power 3 or less until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They gain haste until end of turn. This is a toolbox piece. Make no mistake about this, but this is also a finisher in a red-based toolbox deck. Gotta make sure that you keep everything open in terms of your hammer and your nail. In black, we have Deadly Cover-Up. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect 6 evidence. That's a little niche thing right there. I'm not really going to go too much into evidence right now because I'm not fluent in it myself. But it states, destroy all creatures. If evidence was collected, exile a card from the opponent's graveyard. Then search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the name and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Now you may think, why would I need this in Commander? Answer is, you just doing it for more information. Okay, now you might not ever want to play this card. It is 99 cards you get to look through. Last of all, we have Aweless Dust, a 7 mana colorless sorcery that states each player sacrifices all permanents they control that are 1 or more color. Now please note, lands are considered colorless. They're not any color. They produce a color of mana, but they are not a color, so please do not think this is land destruction. Now, let's move on to our second tool, the Screwdriver. Now this is for those matchups that are a little bit tricky for you. You're not sure if this requires finesse or if you can still bring that blunt force of the hammer to this. Now, these fixers are precise, yet be careful because they can put you in a worse state than you were in previously. Now, they're always good to have, but they won't suit every situation. First off, we have Austere Command, a 6 mana white sorcery that states choose 2. 1. Destroy all artifacts. 2. Destroy all enchantments. 3. Destroy all creatures with mana value 3 or less. 4. Destroy all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. Very versatile. Very good. Our second one, Primal Command, a 5 mana green sorcery that states choose 2. Target player gains 7 life. Put target 9 creature permanent on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffle his or her graveyard into his or her library's number 3. And number 4, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Once again, amazing options, but depending on the situation, it's going to be very difficult to choose the right ones. Next, we have Gix's Command. It states choose 2. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 creature. It gains lifelink until end of turn. Number 2, destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Number 3, return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. And number 4, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control. Now, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Some of these commands are blatantly better than others, as I'm sure you can see. Once again, a lot of different options are available here. Now for blue, we have Cryptic Command, a 4 mana blue instant that states choose 2. Number 1, counter target spell. Number 2, return target permanent to its owner's hand. Number 3, tap all creatures your opponents control. Number 4, draw a card. Yes, I would say that's the best one, honestly. Our fifth one, Incendiary Command, a 5 mana red sorcery that states choose 2. Incendiary Command deals 4 damage to target player, or for number 2, Incendiary Command deals 2 damage to each creature. For number 3, destroy target non-basic land. For number 4, each player discards all the cards in his or her hand and then draws that many cards. Not bad if I do say so. Now, for our final example of a screwdriver, we have Warping Whale, 1 and a colorless instant that states choose 1. Exile target creature with power or toughness 1 or less. Number 2, counter target sorcery spell. Or number 3, create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token. It has sacrificed this creature at 1 colorless mana. Now, it's time for our third tool, the wrench. And you gotta sock it to them. Yes. Now, it's all about bringing the right tool for the job. I've been trying to instill that in all of you throughout this entire video. But this is where you can kind of fit in some pet cards. You know, you'd be surprised how many like little just fun things you might like can fill this slot right here in the deck. Now, bear in mind though that the wrench is your WMD, your weapon of mass shut your mouth. And if this fails you, you only can blame yourself. So keep that in mind. And these are the examples. In light, we have By Invitation Only, a 5 mana sorcery that states choose a number between 0 and 13. Each player sacrifices that many creatures. Now you may be asking, how is this a WMD, right? If you're facing an opponent who has a lot of indestructible, hexproof, ward, things that just won't go away, sacrifice makes those things go away. In green, we have Barrier Breach. 3 mana instance. It's exiled up to 3 target enchantments and is cycling for 2. Now, once again, why would this be a W&D? There are a lot of enchantment-based decks running around. This is a good catch-all, and it exiles. It does not let recursion from graveyards affect it. Number 3 in black, Awaken the Erstwhile, a 5 mana sorcery that states each player discards all the cards in their hand, then creates that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. This will either save you or it'll take you out the game itself, but it'll be fun finding out which it is. Next, we have in blue, Discontinuity. It is a 6 mana instant, or as long as it's your turn, the spell costs 4 less to cast. All it states is end the turn. Somebody's comboing off. Someone's doing an infinite loop. Like, it looks crazy. You know what you do? Just say, how about no? I'm gonna end that turn. We'll see how that goes the next time around. It works. It's a catch-all. It lives in this nice little niche area of ending turns or giving extra turns that people don't really focus on. Now in red, we have Shivan Harvest, a 2 mana red enchantment. Haven't seen many of those this video, have you? It states, tap 1 colorless and 1 red, sacrifice a creature, destroy target non-basic land. For decks that like to use sack outlets, and they have some very land-based, like Field of the Dead and Lotus Fields in their pot, this card right here, underplayed, and it is great in a token-based strategy, or just as a big red button. Like, I want you to know, goblins, you should run this card. Last of all, we have Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, a 10 mana colorless card that says when you cast a spell, exile 2 target permanents. It's a 10/10 as well, and it states it has indestructible, and when it attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library. This is a finisher that can go in any deck. If your deck is having a hard time closing out a game, if you got really too fun in your deck building and now you don't have a win condition, it's going to sound sad, but it's just grabbing Eldrazi. Okay. Now it's time to decide. Is this just your garage, or do you own a hardware store? The question of how big your toolbox should be is, subjective. A 60 cards format is a 15 card sideboard. Those are all the fixers that you have available. While in Commander, I recommend packages. I'm going to be having a whole separate video that goes over what a package is, what to include in them, and the various types of them are. Now, remember, no one can tell you how many tools to bring. Just be aware it is possible to have too many. And your pod, your local game store, an event, people will let you know very clearly and vocally if you're running way too many fixers. Now it's time for one of our favorite segments of these videos, the risk assessment. Now, strengths. Number 1, you have the ability to beat anything and everything, also known as options. Number 2, you can use it as a shell for combo or just have it be kind of hidden in there. Number 3, variety and diversity in games. If you take out the thing that a combo player or control player or whatever type of player normally uses to win, it forces them to have to find another way to win. In my mind, that's good diversity right there. Weaknesses. Dependent on tutoring and deck manipulation. It is very hard to have a silver bullet without going to look for it. Our second weakness. Drawing an answer you don't need. You do not have any idea how many times I've been playing a game and I drew this really good removal spell or this really good synergy piece, and it would be just amazing if my opponent was playing any other deck besides the one that they're using right now. It's truly disheartening to be like, this is a dead card now. Why do I have this? When you fine tune too much, that's what happens. Weakness number 3. In your pursuit of answering your opponents, how can you win? Now, it's already a problem in this game that we enjoy, that people don't know how to win the game. They get so fascinated with just, playing solitaire for the most part, that they don't even think about actually ending the game. Showing off that, I know how to do this one thing really well and have so many different ways to do it, that they neglect that this is a game that has a definite ending, because people want to play again. People have limited time. So you do not want to be one of those players. Now it's time for tips and advice. First tip, keep a cool head. And remember, you have an answer. You're not like these other players sitting here saying, man, can I respond to that? Now let's keep it a buck. They can't. They don't have an answer for that. They're just buying time, spinning their wheels, looking panicked. Number 2, there are a plethora of affordable tutors and fixers. So this is a very budget-friendly playstyle. Number 3, this cell is meant for the learners, the ever-evolving player. Those people will feel the most comfortable playing Toolbox. And these are a few, spicy additions I would like to introduce to people. First up, we have Devastating Mastery in white, a 6-mana sorcery that states you may pay 4 rather than pay the spell's mana cost. If the 4 cost was paid, an opponent chooses up to 2 non-land permanents they control and return them to their hand, then destroy all non-land permanents. This is a great Toolbox card. You can make deal for politics, and if not, it's still just a good card. Especially depending on which phase of the game you do it in. You can choose the opponent who's the least ahead of you, or the most behind, depending on how you want to do it. Next, we have Culling Ritual in Golgari, black and green. A 4-mana sorcery that states destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Add green or black for each permanent destroyed this way. That just seems like a good catch-all for everything on the board. Next, we have Deathbringer Liege. It is a 5-mana Orzhov, black and white creature that states other white creature you control get +1/+1. Other black creature you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a white spell, you may tap target creature. Whenever you cast a black spell, you may destroy target creature if it's tapped. Its own built-in synergy there, and it's just a underplayed good card. Now we have Mirror Mockery, a 2-mana blue enchantment aura. It states, whenever enchanted creature attacks, you may put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. Exile that token at the end of combat. Now, let's say your opponent has this amazing creature, right? And oh man, every time they attack, it's gonna be bad. Put this on your opponent's creature. True, have this own little synergy for your own creatures, but use this and use other enchantments like it in your favor. You gotta look for the niche applications of things to be a Toolbox player. 5-mana red sorcery, Burn Down the House. Choose one. Burn Down the House deals 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Or create 3 1/1 red devil creature tokens with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. They gain haste until end of turn. Board wipe hits things that don't normally get touched by board wipes. And it'll give you bodies if you're in that sticky situation. Good card. Demolition Field. I think this land should go in every single commander deck, just like Sol Ring. It is tap for colorless or tap 2 in itself, sacrifice Demolition Field to destroy target non-basic land and opponent controls. That land's controller may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. You may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This will hit those pesky land-based deck players, and it still replaces itself. This card should be in every commander deck, because somebody will always abuse the lands can't be targeted, quote-unquote, rule of commander. Job well done, people. Thank you all for staying with me to finish this entire video. And I hope you've learned something from this. You can pack up them tools, call it a day. Because remember, when you have a toolbox, you don't have to worry about the what if. You don't have to worry about, oh no, what's my bad matchup? You have no bad matchup. The jack of all trades is a master of none, but is oftentimes better than a master of one. Remember that, guys and girls, and all under the sun. Hello, listeners. This is your host, Ender, here at ND 5.18, signing off with one more heartfelt thank you for all of you who have continued to stay subscribed and been awaiting content. And I promise you, I will not neglect you, at least not for as long a period as that. Now remember, live your best life and be well, people. This is Ender, signing off. Goodbye, everybody.